Hey guys, welcome to another episode of my vlog. Today I'm going to do another episode in my vinyl collection series. I've really been enjoying this series, and hopefully this helps me branch out to maybe some vinyl collectors that are on YouTube. I know I've already gotten comments from a few of you. Really exciting. I've been happy with the view counts on these videos, and they just help me, be nerdy. I always enjoy showing off my record collection. Today we're focusing on who may be my favorite songwriter of all time, and I know it's vanilla to say your favorite songwriter of all time is Billy Joel, but it's true, so I'm going to be covering Billy Joel. And of course, we're going to start at the beginning with Cold Spring Harbor. For those of you who don't know, this is a very interesting album released before he was really famous. And at the time, he really considered himself a songwriter, but he was signed to a record contract with Family Productions Records, who were saying, singer-songwriters are really in now. You got to sing your own songs. We'll record you. We'll put out an album. It's going to be great. Biggest problem was they didn't even master it right, in that they mastered it too fast. So he kind of sounds like a chipmunk. I think the original pressings of this album are kind of hard to find. This isn't an original. This is a 1973 issuing from 2 years after it first came out, but it is one of the old Family Productions issuings. So this one is one of those that is too fast. I bought this not even necessarily to listen to, just because I thought it was a cool piece, a cool, interesting tidbit in Billy Joel's history. What I bought for listening to is this. This is the 1983 Columbia issuing of this album. Main differences include that they actually fixed the pitch problems. They corrected it to the proper pitch. They put it on the Columbia Red label, although you still have the Family Productions dog logo, which would appear on all of Billy Joel's albums until the mid-'80s, due to some contractual finagling by Artie Rip and Family Productions, which also let Family Productions leader Artie Rip get royalties on Billy Joel albums for years after Artie had anything to do with Billy Joel's recordings. The other change that they made on this reissuing is, if you can tell on this one, which is the 83 version, the front cover is zoomed in a little. Don't know why they decided to do that, but that was Columbia's decision back at the time. Then in 73, Billy released his first album for Columbia, and it was Piano Man. Piano Man, of course, the song Piano Man was a huge hit. Album didn't do quite as well as the song did. That song was really the only major hit from the album, although the song Ballad of Billy the Kid is popular amongst Billy Joel fans for sure. So this album's a really good one to have. I don't have one that's in particularly good shape, but have a copy nonetheless. After that, in 74, he put out Street Life Serenader. This is the second of his two albums he recorded in LA. So Piano Man and Street Life Serenader are from his relatively brief LA period, which he would kind of rebel against in his next release. One of my favorite Billy Joel albums ever, the underrated Turnstiles. Turnstiles was his return to New York. Even the front cover screams New York. And what I like about the front cover is that every person on the front cover is sort of a character from a different song on the album, which is really cool. This is his first album to feature his famous band, with Liberty DeVito on drums. You had Doug Stegmeyer on bass. You had Richie Canada on the sax, and Russell Javers on guitars. Just one of the great rock backup bands of all time. More than a backup band, they really were. One of my favorite bands of the 70s is the Billy Joel band. He really hit his stride on the next album, though, especially in terms of popularity. One of the most successful albums of all time, 1977's The Stranger. This begins his long partnership with producer Phil Ramone. I believe that's Phil Ramone? Correct me if I'm wrong. I know that's Liberty DeVito. There's Billy. And, and there's Doug Stegmeyer and Russell Javers there. And, so many hits on this album. I mean, Moving Out, Just the Way You Are, Scenes from an Italian Restaurant, which is my favorite Billy Joel song of all time, and of course, the ever-popular Only the Good Die Young, which I also have the 45 of, and they elected to use the album cut, Get It Right the First Time, as the B-side. I've just recently gotten into collecting 45s. It's actually pretty fun. Maybe someday I'll buy a jukebox and find some use for those. But I still play them all the time. Like I said, even this far into Billy's career and further, you still got that pesky little Family Productions, oh, it's upside down, Family Productions dog label there as part of that contractual negotiation from back in the day. Artie Rip got so rich on that. That's a topic for a whole nother video. He followed that one up with 52nd Street in 1978. Again, extremely successful. I don't know if it matched up to the success of The Stranger, but I don't know if it's even possible to. That album did so well. Some great stuff on this album. Of course, Big Shot and My Life are probably the two biggest hits. I love the song Zanzibar, and I love Rosalinda's Eyes. That's my favorite deep album cut from that track. I also have a 45 from that one as well. Honesty, which is a pretty good hit from that record. And the B-side that they went with on this is interesting. They went with the Mexican Connection, which is, it's an instrumental piece from the Street Life Serenader album from 4 years earlier. Not only is it not my favorite Billy Joel song, it's not even my favorite instrumental on that album. There are two of them, and I don't know, you just gotta love Root Beer Rag. That's a great little tune. Wish they'd put that on the B-side, but I think they'd already issued Root Beer Rag as the B-side for like Piano Man or something. I don't know. Then, after that, my favorite Billy Joel album of all time, Glass Houses. This album, well, I mean, first of all, my parents played the crap out of this in the car when I was a kid, and I loved it then, and I love it now. Not just the hits for, like, You May Be Right, Still Rock and Roll to Me, but All for Lane is an amazing song. Sleeping with the Television On is an amazing song. And one of my favorites that Billy has only performed live maybe once or twice, not a hit, it's an often forgotten album track, but it's I Don't Want to Be Alone. That's a great song. I don't want to be alone anymore. Always since I was a kid, been one of my favorite Billy Joel songs. And I've actually accumulated 3 different 45s from that album. I got Still Rock and Roll to Me, which has the amazing ballad Through the Long Night on the B-side. Then you got C'est Toi, which is partially in French, a language Billy did not speak at all. I think he said that he had the French lyrics kind of written for him or something. And he thought, this is going to be big in France. And then it wasn't because the French people saw right through his fake French. But it's a great little tune. And then, or sorry, Don't Ask Me Why, of course, is the A-side. I don't know why I was thinking C'est Toi was the A-side. Don't Ask Me Why was C'est Toi, one of my favorites, as the B-side. And this, I was so happy to get this when I saw this in the record store. It's Sometimes a Fantasy. Not just Sometimes a Fantasy. This is the extended 45 edit. I hate 45 edits because usually what a 45 RPM edit is like a 4-minute song that they edited down to 240 for radio. This is one of those rare examples where they actually edited it, that's hard to say, longer. They made it longer. They included the extended jam at the end instead of fading it out. It's not that much longer. It's just like an extra 20 seconds, but it's fun. Ends with Billy shouting, I got blisters on my fingers. Not sure if this version of this song ever even made it to CD, unless it was issued as part of My Lives box set. I don't know. Let me know if it was ever come out on CD. I don't think it did. And the B-side, probably my favorite tune from the whole album, All for Lena. On the tour for Glass Houses, Billy Joel was playing some of his The Stranger stuff, some of his earlier career stuff, and he went and he thought, you know what? I didn't record these properly back in the day. I didn't have the ability to record them. Now I've got my band. I've got Phil Ramone. I'm going to record some of these classic tunes live on this tour. And he did, and he put out the Fantastic Songs in the Attic live album. It is a live album of only songs released between Cold Spring Harbor and Turnstiles. And it even doesn't include the hits from that period, like Piano Man's not on here. Um, you got New York State of Mind's not on here. Just some deep cuts, and I agree. I think that Billy did a good job on that. I think that these recordings are often better than the original studio versions. After that, he tried to make his Sgt. Pepper when he did the Nylon Curtain. He spent like a year in the studio working on this one, and it is a masterpiece. Side 1 is incredible. Just Allentown, Laura, Pressure, Goodnight Saigon. How cool is that? And then I never liked side 2 as much as side 1. Again, you can argue with me in the comments all you want. Feel free to. She's Right on Time, A Room of Our Own. Surprises I really like. That's my favorite on side 2. Then you got Scandinavian Skies and Where's the Orchestra. For me, it's weird. I found myself playing side 1 of this a lot more than side 2. I don't know if that's just me. My own personal thing, and I have a single from that album as well. I have Allentown. Great little tune. What's cool about this is the B-side. Elvis Presley Boulevard. That was not on the album. It was a cutout from the Nylon Curtain sessions. He decided to cut it from the album and said, let's just throw it on a B-side. So he did. I wonder if this is on CD. I bet they probably did some sort of expanded version of the Nylon Curtain at some point that included that. Let me know. I have no idea if the Elvis Presley Boulevard song ever made it to CD or digital. Innocent Man, 1983. This was, again, this is a direct rebellion from how he was feeling on the last album. He spent a year in the studio, making the Nylon Curtain. And so to follow it up, he just decided, I'm just going to make a fun album. I'm going to write songs that harken back to, he wrote some songs that went back to his childhood in the 60s. Not that they're songs from the 60s. He wrote some tunes to sort of sound like classic 60s tunes. There's songs on here that he's dedicated to the Supremes, to Frankie Valli, of course. Uptown Girl is his Frankie Valli number. And he's got just lots of classic 50s and 60s vibes on this album. And it became an enormous hit. I would almost argue this album may be second to only The Stranger in terms of success. I mean, the hits on this album. Innocent Man, The Longest Time, Tell Her About It, Uptown Girl, Keeping the Faith. I mean, great. Just great. Then in 85, Columbia issued Billy Joel's Greatest Hits Volume 1 and 2. I once in a record store saw a signed copy of this, like signed by Billy Joel, and it was like $40. And I didn't buy it just because I figured if it was signed by Billy Joel and $40, I wasn't sure if it was real. I don't know. But I got this non-signed copy for much cheaper. This album features some of his hits from 73 to 83 and then ends with 2, at the time, brand new songs, being You're Only Human, which was quite a hit, and The Night Is Still Young. 2 great tunes. After that, he put out The Bridge in 1986. The Bridge is not my favorite Billy Joel album. Don't love it, but there's still some great cuts on it. My favorite tune on this album is Matter of Trust. That's a great little tune. And so you'll notice that on this record, all the way in 1986, 15 years after he had nothing to do with Family Productions, that Family Productions logo is still there. The contract said something like the next 10 Billy Joel albums have to include the Family Productions logo. I want to say The Bridge was the last album to feature the Family Productions thing, but something tells me that his concert album from 1987, the one he did Beyond the Iron Curtain in Russia, I feel like that may have had the Family Productions logo as well. I don't have a copy of that. I would just love to have one. I also have a single from the Bridge album I have with the original sleeve, which is cool. Baby Grand, which is, of course, featuring Ray Charles, and Big Man on Mulberry Street. And there you've got a picture of Billy and Ray on that B-side. And then the last Billy Joel album that I have is Stormfront. No, unfortunately, I don't have The River of Dreams. That album came out in 1993, which was sort of the very tail end of when stores had vinyl, and I'm sure it's been reissued since then. I just haven't been able to find a copy, but I do have Stormfront. This album I like more than The Bridge. This album, again, has got some hits. It's got kind of his comeback hit, We Didn't Start the Fire, which a lot of people hate. I don't mind it. It's not my favorite Billy Joel song. mind you, but it's good. Downeaster Alexa has to be my favorite from this LP. It's also got I Go to Extremes, which is a fun little song. Leningrad is incredible as well. So many great tunes. Someone was talking about Billy Joel on the radio, and they said something like, I think it was Garth Brooks said this. He said that every Billy Joel song is in a completely different mood. Billy Joel has a song for every mood, and I agree with that. Stormfront, the end of my Billy Joel vinyl collection. See, by this point, he was finally able to get rid of that stupid Family Productions logo. So yeah, I'd love to get a copy of The River of Dreams. I'd even love to get a copy of Fantasies and Delusions. I don't think Fantasies and Delusions was ever put out on vinyl. That's his 2001 classical music album. Like I said, I'd love to have his 1987 concert album. And just for this past Record Store Day, they announced they were going to put out Billy Joel at Carnegie Hall 1977. Now, let me tell you about that concert. I've heard it because it was included as part of the expanded edition of The Stranger when they put that out for, I think it was the 30th anniversary edition, and now that's on Spotify, so you can hear that whole concert on Spotify. I would love to have it on vinyl. It's an amazing concert where he plays 3 songs that would wind up on The Stranger before The Stranger was even recorded. It's said that Phil Ramone went to those very Carnegie Hall concerts and was like, this band has got it going on. I got to record them, and that's how he became their longtime producer. By Stormfront, though, he was no longer their producer. Stormfront was produced by, was it Mick Taylor? Is that his name? Mick Jones, sorry. I get my Mick guitarists confused. Mick Jones, who was the original lead guitarist and still is the lead guitarist of the band Foreigner. Fun fact. That'll do it for this video. It didn't feel like this long, but apparently I've been talking your ears off for 17 minutes. That's my Billy Joel collection. Let me know in the comments if you have your own Billy Joel collections, Billy Joel videos. When I did my Kiss record collection video, I had someone share with me their collection, and we kind of went back and forth talking about collections. So really enjoy doing these videos. Thanks so much for watching. For those of you who don't know, I'm also a professional musician, so you can check the description for a full list of all my upcoming performances. And yeah, subscribe to this channel if you're enjoying my videos, and ring that notification bell if you want to be notified every time I upload a new video, which will be tomorrow and every day for the foreseeable future. Like this video if you liked what you saw. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you again tomorrow.